the sovereign King. You are mighty. You are magnificent. And we give you all the praise. Blessing and honor, glory and power be unto the Ancient of Days. From every nation, all of creation, bow before the Ancient of Days. A blessing and honor, glory be unto the Ancient of Days. From every nation, all of creation, bow before the Ancient of Days. Every tongue in heaven and earth shall declare your glory. Every knee shall bow at your throne. In worship you'll be exalted, O God, and your kingdom shall abide. Every tongue in heaven and earth shall declare your glory. Every knee shall bow at your throne. In worship you will be exalted, O God, and your kingdom shall not pass away, O Ancient of Days. O Ancient of Days. Lord, your kingdom shall not pass away, as your glory is revealed in our day. Every heart will know the truth and proclaim, you're the Ancient of Days. My God, you are. Lord, your kingdom shall not pass away, as your glory is revealed in our day. Every heart will know the truth and proclaim, you're the Ancient of Days. My God, you are. You're the Ancient of Days. Oh, every tongue in heaven and earth shall declare your glory. Every knee shall bow at your throne. In worship you will be exalted, O God, and your kingdom shall not pass away. Every tongue in heaven and earth shall declare your glory. Every knee shall bow at your throne. In worship you'll be exalted, O God, and your kingdom shall not pass away, O Ancient of Days. You're the Ancient of Days. Your kingdom stands forever. You are the Ancient of Days. You have rescued my life You're my Redeemer. Hallelujah. My response is hallelujah. You're my Redeemer. Hallelujah. You have rescued my life. You have rescued my life. And I'm never going back. Oh, you have rescued my life. You have rescued my life. And I'm never going back. My response is hallelujah. You're my Redeemer. Hallelujah. My response is hallelujah. You're my Redeemer. Hallelujah. I will worship you, O God, from the mountaintops as long as I have breath in my lungs. Receive all my worship. Receive all my praise. Oh, 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 oh. I'll sing your praise. I'll sing your praise. Oh, I'll sing your praise. I'll sing your praise. I'll sing your praise. I'll sing your praise. You have rescued my life. You have rescued my life. And I'm never going back. You have rescued my life. And I'm never going back. My response is hallelujah. You're my Redeemer, my restorer. Hallelujah. My response is hallelujah. You're my deliverer. You're my healer. Hallelujah.
Hi everyone, my name is Kavi Mlamba and I am a kindergarten teacher and this is my testimony. I have been saved for a long time. I actually grew up saved in the church, and so my parents were just great and they taught us a lot about the Bible, a lot about church. So generally God was always in my life. There were a lot of transitions in my life, from school to work to working out of the country, and I've just seen God's grace through it all. The first transition was moving from normal school to homeschooling. Now in that time and in that age, it was in the mid-2000s, and it was something that was still outlawed by the government. So my parents were those parents. So we were moving from a private school a very known private school to homeschooling. And that transition was the hardest transition I had to make. I felt so sad, so away from my friends. I felt socially ostracized. I just felt like I wasn't able to connect with the world that I knew so well. And in that space, I remember even going to bed and just dreaming of going back to normal school, putting on my uniform and doing the normal things that I used to do. And it just took me a long time to adjust. My parents were great. They explained the reasons why we were moving schools, and it was because my dad had changed jobs. So there was not a lot of money to put back into a private school. And my mom was looking for the best way for us to adjust. Because we were coming from a British school, she found it easier for us to move into an American system as opposed to going to 844. So at that time I was excited until I realized that I would be at home with my siblings, just the three of us, in a school. Days would go on in pajamas and just doing the normal, and I would feel like, this isn't me. God, why am I here? And eventually, I got used to it. And I think it was through my mom's prayers. And slowly by slowly, I found myself adjusting to the idea of working from home, setting goals, and doing things that I didn't see myself doing as a child. So in that state, as we were homeschooling, there were a lot of other issues that came into our lives. There was financial trouble and dealing with having to work with less as opposed to having more. We changed cars, we changed our lifestyle, and it was very real for me and for my siblings. But if there's one lesson God taught me through that transition from schooling to homeschooling, was that He can allow you and open you up to doing. And that is something that I cherish even as I look back now. And even moving forward into the other transitions in my life, I would need that skill. The second transition I had to make was from school to work. Now that we were in as homeschoolers, my parents found it best for us to become interns and learn how the real world works as we were starting to finish our high school certificates. So we took a year off and we volunteered at a school in a church. And for me, that opened me up to so much. Just the idea of earning my own money and being an adult, yeah? Interacting with adults and children and being an influencer of young lives was something that was so big to me. And I was still quite young as I started volunteering. I was not yet legal, so it was something that I found very ahead of my age group. And in a lot of ways I was. However, there were so many things that I hadn't seen coming. I was so naive. I listened, grown-ups and things that they say and different motives that people have when they start working. So just entering that dynamic for me was so difficult. I realized that I would speak to some people and they would tell me, oh, this is what I mean, but they would do something completely different. So dealing with all of these dynamics and handling people, adults and students who were almost my age, it gave me so many different feelings. Feelings of excitement, wondering if I'm doing the right thing, if I'm listening or if I'm following what my supervisor has said. There were just so many things to take into account, and sometimes I would feel overwhelmed. At some point in my working life, I got really stressed, and I felt like I was going to combust in different sort of ways, and actually end up collapsing at work in front of the children, which was something that was not great. And it seemed like my body had found a way to deal with down, away from everyone and everything, which was very dangerous. And my mom came to a point and she told me, you know, you have to see yourself, you have to give yourself time to adjust and set goals. And she reminded me that nothing is a must, that everything is supposed to be an enjoyable, learning and fruitful experience. After all of that, And passing through that season in my life, as I was just joining the workforce, I learned great lessons, and God helped me through that transition. I learned to speak less, to listen more, and just to take it a step at a time. When the world was spinning in my mind and out of control, I learned that it was best to just break. So far, God has seen me through 2 major transitions in my life. And I thought, that's the end of it. There's no more transitions, God. I have moved to homeschool, and then again from homeschool to work life. And I thought, now I have learned all I need to know. I'm in my 20s, and there's nothing new that could possibly surprise me. Little did I know that around the corner there was another transition. I had been working for a while, and I felt like So within the school that I was working in, I switched jobs, and I moved from working in class as a teacher to working in the administration. My boss was lovely and allowed me to do that. And of course she asked me, is this what you want? Is this the best thing for you? I thought, yes, this is going to change the way I work, the way I think, and I just need a fresh start, something to reboot and give me purpose. As I did that, I realized just how much I missed being in class and interacting with children. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to go back to class. It may not be in this school, my time in a specific area, but I know that there was something different in the horizon. So I kept praying and telling God, whatever it is that is new, that you're preparing me for, open my eyes and show me what I'm going to do next. And I could not even imagine what was coming. My sister had been working 1.5 years, and I thought, that's great. That's wonderful for her. She's able to teach children of different nationalities and interact, and God can use her in that way. I had never imagined that I would be given that opportunity as well. And at the most random of times, it was mid-2020 and COVID had just hit. The school where I was working had closed down because of the government directive. And I was like, okay, God, I'm going to learn something new in this storm of COVID. I'm going to get used to working online and handling different things and as I work towards finding what is new for me. And a job opening came up where my sister was working in the UAE. I had not imagined that you always see people going abroad and you imagine, you go, do you, enjoy. And I had never thought that I would work outside of the country. And in that moment, when the world was in chaos, where people were shutting down, God placed this new major transition, whole new bubble of opportunity was just in my face. And of course I was excited. My parents were my biggest cheerleaders. My siblings were all for it, and everything around me just seemed to fall into place. But still, I was anxious. I was not sure if I would make it. I was excited, but I was still battling within myself. Is this really what God wanted me to do? Am I really ready to move into this new space in my life? I remember praying, even as my visa was being processed, and telling God, if it is you, everything will happen all at once, like I was the boss of God. And it didn't happen all at once. It was rejected, and it was approved again. And I thought, wow, what is going on here? Everything that I had thought and planned so carefully to help me adjust to this transition was just falling apart. And there was this space in time for about 2 weeks, because I had thought I would leave on the earliest week of September, and I ended up leaving later. And I had already told everybody, bye-bye, see you later. I'm off to do bigger, better things, trying to believe it myself. And it turns out that I ended up leaving later. So in that space and time, I was waiting for everything to fall into place. I felt anxious and overwhelmed with things that as much as God was right there, I still felt like I should be able to control some of these things. And in that moment, this felt like the hardest transition I had ever faced. Everything else paled in comparison. This was the big thing. And I remember just listening to music as I was cleaning the house, being the last one. That was me. I was the one left in the house with my parents and just doing the things that we do, cleaning and tidying up. And I realized that, you know what? Every single little moment that God has placed is placed for a reason. And the more I stick in this space and wallow in the need for control and in the anxiety, it won't end. And so in that moment, as I was holding one mop in my hand, I prayed that I would truly trust God and trust that His will for my life was coming to pass in ways that I couldn't possibly see. And within the next week, my visa was approved and I was on my way to the UAE to work in a space that I had never imagined at a time that was so unlikely. And so the lesson I learned from that transition, at His time and at His pace. If you trust God, truly trust God, and let go of all of your need for control, all of the plans that you have, and all of the things you think you may have learned, He will see you through. My name is Kavi Mlamba, and that has been my testimony.
I will bless the Lord forever. I will trust Him at all times. He has delivered me from all fear. He has set my feet upon the rock, upon the rock. Yeah. I will not be moved, and I'll say of the Lord, You are my shield, my strength, my portion, deliverer, my shelter, strong tower, my very present help in time of need. My very present help